Hey, everyone on YouTube land. This is Archangel for Truth. My recording for you today discussing the Derek Chauvin guilty verdict in the George Floyd case and why it is that this guilty verdict will not change the way police choose to interact with people. What really will it take for such a change to take place? Now, I do want to qualify this because there are many police officers out there that do conduct themselves in a manner that is respectful to people, respectful of their rights, and they really do take an oath to the Constitution seriously in not seeking to infringe the rights of individuals. I'm not talking about these individuals. These officers, though they be few and far between, these are individuals that we don't have to worry about so much. Now, I'm talking about this police officers like this Derek Chauvin, who look at you as second-class citizens, who have no problem with putting a knee to your face and grinding it down into the asphalt, in order to have a control over you, who don't care what you're experiencing during an arrest or so forth, who are willing to wield authority over people at the injury of the individual. That's what I'm talking about. What is it going to take to invoke real change for these things to no longer be? Now, saying this, it's important to understand something. Police will only do what they're allowed to do. So this isn't an isolated situation, as many of you are well aware. All you have to do is search for police encounters on YouTube, and you will see a variety of individuals' encounters where people are being dragged out and beaten and windows busted and for a variety of things. And it's okay from the standpoint of those who support that because, hey, these people are criminals. Oh, wait. Never mind the fact you haven't had a trial where your innocence remains intact until proven guilty. No, that's not what exists. You are guilty automatically, and you will be dragged about, you will be treated badly, and you will be harassed by individuals that have a chip on their shoulder because they have a badge and a gun. And so that's the problem that we have today. So I guess my question for any of you who would like to respond to this is, what will it take to invoke real change in the way the police interact with people? One of the things that they require people to do in order to have a firearm is to have a background check, and, to determine whether or not there's any mental issues. Well, do you think that maybe requiring police officers to go through a psychological evaluation every so often would be something advisable to determine whether these are people that should be placed in the role of the position of police officers. See, I want to make it clear. I believe all lives matter. Doesn't matter what color you are. Doesn't matter, what your beliefs are. All lives matter. And certainly the problem we have is that, you know, the courts have determined that police have something that is called qualified immunity. But I would tell you that qualified immunity is a violation of their own 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment, for those that aren't aware of it, is called the Equal Protection Clause or the Equal Protection Amendment, requiring that there be equal protection. Well, here's the deal. There's a movement with people wanting to defund the police. I don't believe that is the best situation, to be honest with you, because if you defund them entirely, then what happens is, when there is a need for police, a legitimate need, dealing with individuals really trying to harm and cause problems, then, what are you going to do? You're going to tell some guy, for minimum wage or whatever, hey, go put your life on the line and deal with these criminals that are probably, having their own weapons that are, able to kill them as well. I mean, come on. There's got to be a reasonable level of things. Nor should there be a policing of every single thing. The state wants to say, well, safety issue here, safety issue there. We got to require regulations. That's just complete nonsense. And it's abuse of the state 10th Amendment powers, which, by the way, not to throw us off on a tangent, but, we also have 10th Amendment powers, which are completely being ignored by the states, by the courts, and certainly by law enforcement. You don't believe me? Go and read the 10th Amendment and see what it says. It will say that the states, that the powers that are reserved respectively to the states also are granted to the people. It says or to the people, which means it doesn't say and to the people, it says or. Or is an alternative. It is a disjunctive word, which means either or this. At any rate, back to the issue at hand. So, the question as to what's going to need to happen to really invoke some sort of change is the removal of qualified immunity. You see, as much as I could hope that this guilty verdict would change the way things are, we already observe various shootings and so forth. Police have in their mindset, shoot to kill, not shoot to injure or, shoot to control a situation. But, I think that there are times where things happen in a spur of a moment situation and, unfortunately people do get hurt. But I think the mindset has been put there by the government, by the states, and by the legal system that says, well, as long as, you kinda was following the way things are supposed to be, you can kill someone and get away with it. Well, we observe, at least in this case with Derek Chauvin, that a guilty verdict, you know, has been brought forth. Now, just because there's a guilty verdict, do not mistake this, because there are potential issues that can be appealed that can reverse the decision. So don't think that just because he has this guilty verdict that it's all said and done. It's not. There is a there are possibilities for an appeals, but in the meantime, Derek Chauvin will obviously have to be um, confined until that is finally resolved. And so there can be years until this issue finally is dealt with and a verdict is final, and ultimately the appellate process has gone through entirely. So, you know, there's that. But, I would say for those good police officers that are out there, you know, there are there are some out there that are really there to help people. For those individuals, you should be thankful for them and you should support them, because even though they're few and far between, they need your support, And I think when things are changed, when we have a different disposition towards one another, when we actually start caring about each other, that's really what it's all about, is love, you know. And certainly, if you love your neighbor, you're not going to steal from your neighbor. Well, let's apply that principle when it comes to police interactions with people. If the police love the people that they're there to protect, well, guess what? They're not going to seek ways to harm people. They're not going to go out with the idea, with the intention of searching for whatever they can find to use against you. Okay? Unfortunately, that's the mindset that is taught to law enforcement, to find whatever they can use to use against you, to prosecute against you, to pursue. That is the mindset they are taught, and that is what they do. So anything you say can and will be used against you. Okay? If you're not following their regulations, they're going to nail you to the wall. They're going to take you to courts and so forth, over petty BS. It's all petty BS that they go after, and so ultimately the police, many of them, they don't want to recognize that you have 10th Amendment powers. If you make that point to police officers, they'll ignore it. They'll say you're crazy or whatever. But according to the 10th Amendment, you do. But that's that's a whole other issue. So, I have this recording. Y'all are familiar with it. I want to close on this note, and ultimately, we got to treat each other better. I don't care whether you're in law enforcement or not, or whether you're, black or white or whatever. We need to treat each other better. And that's what I advocate for. So with that, I'm going to close it here. Please like and share, and, if you disagree or agree, let me know. We all have our own views and opinions, but, here's a recording that I'm sure you're all familiar with. I'm sorry that the volume is low to it, but That's what I got. So listen to this.
Mostly I'm tired of people being ugly to each other. I'm tired of all the pain I feel and hear in the world every day. There's too much of it. It's like pieces of glass in my head all the time. Can you understand?
Can you understand? Like pieces of glass in his mind. That's kind of the way I see this whole world too. So much hate, so much bitterness, and seeking to get an advantage over the other, or having authority one over the other. Man dominating man to his injury. And that's not the way it should be. With that, God bless you all, and take care. Bye bye.